So I started to do this research about petrol about 2 years ago when I met a German man in Val Venosta in South Tyrol. And he was telling me some really interesting information about the offshore, and so where and how they find petrol and how they transport it and everything. So my interest for this topic exploded, and I started to read articles online and to watch I don't know how many documentaries. At some point, obviously, all this information needed to go into an object. So the prototype was tire, which is a tire made out of tarmac. Then the process moved on into an installation, which was called It's All About the Journey. There something happened. I basically understood that there was a certain distance between the result and my primary interest. And therefore, I moved on to the consumption of plastic and the body, basically. I made a selection of products, which are the cleaning products, the children's toys, the food packaging, and the beauty culture. The challenge was to make an object, a product, which is still familiar to the viewer, but has this sort of abstract and surreal aesthetic. So at Museion also the piece will be installed differently. The aim will be to find an installation which will summarize all the objects in a domestic environment. Then once the pieces were made, machine made, which is quite important to say, was the title, which is a reference to the French philosopher Maurice Merleau-Ponty, the phenomenology of perception. And I realized back in time, like more or less a year ago as well, that exactly this philosophy of existentialism is very present in my work. So I decided to use the title as a key for the viewer, and I was hoping that the objects, by making also an association to the knight's armor, can create a sort of metaphor which is related to the body without showing a body. I moved to London 3 years ago because I studied there. I did a master program at the Royal College of Art, and this has been a great experience, and I still kept living there, and because it's like this exchange between being in a city and being on the countryside makes a big difference, like in the perception of reality and the perception of the world. And therefore I usually try to stay over the summertime here. Here in Glorenza, which is one of the smallest medieval cities in Europe. I think also for our project, which is called GAP, Glorenza Art Point, which is a residency place for emerging artists, this is a really great location to be. For me, like having grown up here in South Tyrol, Museion has been always very important to me. It has actually been the center where I have been first in contact with contemporary art. So I can still remember I have seen really amazing shows like Isa Gensken and Gabriel Kuri in 2010 and Rally Export in 2011, or more recent shows which would be Rosella Viscotti or Dan Vo. I really believe the Museion is very important in this region, and I hope they keep alive their dynamics and bring as well in the future such prolific artists to Italy.
3, 2, 1, go.
We artists tend to have a loud bark, but at the end we don't actually bite.